Hey, welcome to the next episode of Point Black, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Adolphus Pruitt.
I'm Kiara Lewis.
Hey, today we have a very, very interesting show. Before we introduce our guest, we're going to read a statement from his attorney. And it's really going to set the focus for what we're going to talk about. And for all you podcasters and social media posting and all this other stuff, hey, we got to be on the lookout. We'll tell you why. Kiara, you want to kick us off?
Absolutely. So this is a statement to the media. He starts by saying, "My name is Brendan Consette, and I am a senior public defender who represents Oren Ambus. I was told the media would be doing a segment on his case and interviewing him. He asked me to give a statement to the media regarding his case. Mr. Ambus was charged with several counts of harassment for publishing videos on his podcast, Chronic Chronicles, calling someone a liar based on testimony that person gave at a public trial. He was questioning whether trial results in a wrongful conviction and whether a key witness had committed perjury. His videos included interviews with the person he believed was wrongfully convicted, discussions of the evidence presented at the trial, and explanations why he believed that evidence showed a witness had lied. His words commenting on the critiquing public testimony at a public trial are squarely within the freedom of speech protected by the First Amendment. Admittedly, Mr. Ambus's choice of words when expressing his opinion was not always artful. It was colorful at times and harsh at others, but not illegal. The issue at the heart of Mr. Ambus's case is not whether the person whose case he was discussing was falsely accused and convicted over a decade ago. The issue is whether we as a society have the right to discuss the trial and questions that conviction. I am grateful to the St. Louis Circuit Attorney's Office for recognizing the important First Amendment issues in the case and dismissing the charges. I was asked what surprised me most about the case. First, I learned about a year after these charges were filed that the prosecutor's office didn't have copies of the videos that were the basis of the charges against my client. I was told they didn't have them because the detective who investigated this case never downloaded them. This means these charges were approved and issued by a prosecutor who never even reviewed the videos that were the basis of the alleged harassment. Second, I was surprised to learn how my client was informed of the harassment allegations. He first learned he was being accused of harassment when the St. Charles County SWAT team broke down his door with a battering ram and stormed into his home with flashbang grenades and 25 officers in full armor, shields, and assault rifles. Then zip-tied his hands in his living room and informed him he was under arrest for harassment. This seems heavy-handed. Third, I was surprised by the way this case was covered by the media initially when the charges were first filed. The articles I read seemed to have entirely missed the First Amendment and free speech issue in this case. There was no discussion about what my client actually said in the videos, how he reviewed the evidence presented at trial, and what facts supported his statement that he believed someone had lied. It was like the reporting presumed that because he was charged with harassment, he must have done something to justify that charge. There was a rush to judgment and lack of crucial context. Yes, many of the people charged with crimes are ultimately found guilty of those crimes, but This statistic does not justify a prejudicial assumption that every person charged with the crime probably committed it. The presumption of innocence in our country is important, precisely because of the case and so many others where someone who's initially charged with the crime is ultimately exonerated.
And ladies and gentlemen, this was a statement prepared by guest's attorney. This was a senior member of the Missouri Public Defender's Office. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hop right to it. I want to introduce you all to Oren Ambus. And Oren, how do we start this?
First of all, let's say all praise to the Most High, and thank you for having me here. We can start wherever you like to start. I think, in my opinion, it was definitely an overreach. And in my opinion, I feel as if this whole ordeal was something that they were trying to keep me from bringing out some corruption within the police department and the prosecuting attorney's office.
So how long have you been doing what you have a podcast? How long you been doing this?
I've been doing the podcast since about 2021.
Since about 2021?
Yes, sir.
And you came across this case and you decided that it merits some review, and you started digging and for evidence and looked into it, and you start broadcasting like I think people with podcasts and Facebook and people do all the time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For the record, let me say that the gentleman is a friend of mine, and when I found out that he was incarcerated for a rape charge, I know his character, so it made me dig into it. After he started sending me pieces of information and court documents and things that they didn't look into, I was like, hold on, he shouldn't even be locked up. This should be an open and shut case. So, excuse me. So I end up posting these videos on the alleged victim's job page. I saw her getting an award for being such a good citizen. So I'm like, well, let me show you what this lady really did, right? Mm-hmm. So I did that. And like you said, here's the search warrant here they initially put on me. As you can see in the search warrant, it goes well beyond harassment charges, right? It's a crazy story, and it should be looked into by, in my opinion, the Department of Justice, because there's so many stories in St. Louis where guys who have just gotten out of prison, for example, Christopher Dunn, who was released from prison after like about who knows how many years, right? There are so many stories in St. Louis where guys are innocent, and the prosecuting attorney's office, they don't do their due diligence to make sure these people have been this crime has been rightfully investigated, right? Mm-hmm. Again, Kimberly Gardner, she had 28 police officers that were under investigation for misconduct, right? One of those police officers was on Marcus's case. These are some of the things that I kept bringing out to the attention of the people and trying to get the people to understand why I dove so deeply into this, right? It's only because he's innocent. And for the record, I feel like if any man rapes a woman, he should be put to death. I don't know if I can say that on the news or not on the loud, but that's how I feel.
Interesting. You know, I'm looking at this search warrant, and it says that they're coming to look for electronic devices used for harassment, but it also says first-degree incident and narcotics distribution.
Exactly.
So to justify coming in the door, they couldn't just use the harassment there to say they were looking for drugs?
So there was another guy living in the house, and according to the deposition that I got from my public defender, when they asked him, I have that too, when they asked him about the warrant and the drugs, they said they piggybacked off of a warrant of someone else who lived in the house. So that's illegal. You can't piggyback off of a warrant, right?
Got it.
So they piggybacked off of a warrant for somebody else who the DEA, whoever was looking into or whatever.
Right.
They also said that they did intelligence to find out where I lived. Nobody knew where I lived, right? So what intelligence did you do to find out where I lived? During the deposition, they went off the record around that time. So Detective Gregory Bushhart and Stephen J. Sato is the one who did the intelligence. Mm-hmm. So again, why did they do all of this over a podcast, over my First Amendment right? Right here, what I have is one of the things. So if I could right before they did the kick-in, I had got online. I did a video. I said, hey, I think we have the video from her walking into Barnes Hospital naked from the waist down, because her whole thing was she walked into Barnes Hospital naked from the waist down. They never proved it, never showed a video. Nobody ever said it except for her, right? She purged herself several times. So when I said we got the video and I showed this letter right here, that's when the kick-in happened.
Got it. Hey, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more on Point Blank. We're talking about free speech, y'all. And we are back. Yes, we're in the house. We have Oren Ambus with us. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's be clear. Let me just really set the stage just for a minute. So, as a young man who's accused of raping, he's African American, am I right?
Yes, sir.
And he's accused of raping a white woman.
Yes, sir.
And you know him. He contacts you. He tells you about the situation he's in. He begins to share evidence with you and other information that basically says, hey, I'm innocent. I've been wrongly convicted. You take it and you go to bat for him. You say, hey, I believe him. I believe the evidence supports that he may be wrongly convicted. And because you have a podcast, you begin to broadcast and share it. And as a result of that, you look up one day, they kick in your door. They zip tie you. They kick in the door with grenades and AR-15s pointed at you.
Yeah.
And because hey, you made a wrong move, they could have blown you away.
Man, listen, when I tell you I have not ever in my life been in the kick-in. I have not ever in my life had AR-15s pointed at me by police officers. Man, I was so scared. When I tell you, I was like, this is it. You know what I mean? Like, I know how it is. Like, you know how you look on TV, you see kick-in, guy shot, all that.
Right.
No, oh my God, I was so scared.
Yeah. And then they hit you with this warrant. They take you in. Now here's, ladies and gentlemen, where it gets interesting, because what is very hard to take is that nobody looked at the videos that you were accused of posting and harassing them with,
Right.
but they was able to get a warrant and lock you up.
Right.
Did you know why they were kicking in your door?
Absolutely not. Not at all. I didn't find out why they were there until I got in the car. When I got in the car, I asked the officer what's going on. He was like, wait, you're here for a harassment charge. I'm like, harassment? They're like, yeah. I'm like,
All of
okay.
that for a harassment charge.
Harassment, yeah.
Yeah, seven counts.
Yeah, first degree harassment on top of it.
Seven
But posting
counts.
videos is all I did, post videos. Never called nobody, never
You
saw
posted the videos of
my interviews with Marcus
with-
Hughes.
I got
And
you.
that's going over all this I'm sharing with you right now, sharing that. And that's what started all this.
Wow. That's what started the SWAT team.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know, I did a little experiment. I said, you know, we all use AI all the time here. I said, AI, let me ask you something. How many times do you think somebody has posted a video accusing somebody else of lying, and it came back and said, well, we can't give you an exact figure, but it basically said there's billions of postings a day, and we can assure you that more than 1% are on there saying something negative about somebody else.
Right.
At minimum 1%, which means it would be in the millions.
Right.
It would be in the millions of videos on going out with somebody's, and then I think about it, Kiara. Wouldn't that count for some of President Trump's stuff he posted?
Right, exactly.
Wouldn't that, I mean,
Ironically, when my public defender started my case, he brought Donald Trump's case as case law. So Donald Trump and I had the same case.
same case.
Yes, sir.
Man, and so it's just amazing. So what did it? We have to ask. How did it impact your life? I think
Oh,
folks
my
want to
God.
know how did it impact your life, and take me through your walk through the justice system and how it made you feel.
Well,
And how long you were there?
quite honestly, I'm not going to say I haven't been in the justice system before. I am a convicted felon. I have 8 felons, right? However, that's 25, 30 years ago. So
Right.
since then, I've been doing my best to stay a model citizen, right?
Got it.
Right. So when they locked me up for this, but from the start, the whole kick in, everything just had me like I said, I was shook. And now they're telling me, oh, well, you could go to jail for 35, 40 years because your priors and all this old extra stuff. My son, he's 10 years old. He overheard me and the lawyer talking. He wake up about a week later. He said, Daddy, I had a dream that you had got locked up for 65 years. So now it's affecting the household, right? When they locked me up, I was in jail for about a week, sleeping on the hard floor. You know how, I don't know if you've been in Central, it's terrible. It's disgusting in there. After I get out, I'm no longer living at this house because of the whole raid, right? Actually was homeless for over almost a year.
Oh, wow.
I actually lived in my car behind Love's down on Broadway.
Yes.
Yeah. Then I lived in a vacant house behind my children's mother's house until I was able to rent a house, right? So it has affected me financially. I'm actually thinking about seeking counseling right now because of, listen, when I tell you, when the police pull up on you, right, and you don't know if they're going to shoot you or do something to you, so that's what I'm reliving every time I hear a siren, every time I hear a loud bang, anytime I see the police behind me. Because I don't even know how they found out where I lived in the first place. I never found out how they knew where I lived. So that leads me to believe either they tapped my phone, they put I found a device in my car. It looked like it might have been a tracking device that they removed because I was at the gym one day and somebody broke into my car, broke the whole window down, and they just stole something very minor. And then months later, I found this device, and I'm wondering if they did that because I don't know how they knew where I lived.
Did you post from that house?
Only online, but I've never posted my address. You know
No,
what I mean?
know, but
yes, I did.
So yeah, they can, once they get the post, they can track it backwards.
And that's illegal though. Without a warrant, that's illegal.
Yeah, I agree. So you homeless 2 years?
Yeah, and then I got people online that's saying I'm harassing a rape victim, and that's not the case. You know, a lot of things have happened. I wasn't able to go on my podcast, and I haven't been on my podcast since then. Actually, I'm actually locked out of my podcast because when they initially locked me up, they took my phone. When they took my phone, they gave it back. So when they gave it back, all of my stuff was like, I don't know what they did, but I can't even get into my podcast, the original podcast. So I've been contacting on Facebook trying to get them to help me, but I haven't gotten in touch with anyone as of yet. And it's I couldn't get a job. I couldn't do Uber, Lyft, anything because of the harassment charges since all this happened. So I'm really trying to put life back together right now.
Wow. And what your family? What does your family think about all this?
Well, a lot of people that know me, they know that I'm passionate about what I do, and that I wouldn't do something like this if there wasn't some type of injustice. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do this if I thought that he did rape this woman. I would say kill him. Like I said, I would say you deserve to die for raping a woman. But you know, family and friends, they stand behind me. They you know, I have a good support system, you know, and I thank the Most High most of all because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have the support that I have, you know.
So now the judge, you're in front of the judge and he's telling you, she's telling you that, you know, she's issuing this order saying you can't podcast, you can't broadcast, you can't do nothing, anything like that. I'm assuming your lawyer was there.
Yes.
And did he argue then that he thought this was a real violation of your First Amendment rights?
Absolutely. He argued that from the beginning. As a matter of fact, my plans for him was to take the case in a different direction. I wanted to focus more on the videos we were asking for, the things we were asking for Marcus's trial or whatever. And he was like, no, this is the First Amendment right violation. You know, trust me. I actually called him and told him, said, look, man, I don't think you have my best interest at heart. I want you off my case. And he was like, listen, he apologized. He was very humble. He said, I got you. If you just give me a chance to get it right, I got you. And he did. He showed up and he showed out. And he's been fighting for my First Amendment rights since day one. The judge on the case, she said, well, if we just lock him up, he can't make no post. So again, you're threatening me for making posts for First Amendment rights. It was crazy, bro. I was in fear the whole time. Every time I went to court, I was wondering if I felt like she had some type of vendetta against me because of the case, but she even never saw the videos. No one looked at the videos to see what I was saying. Nobody.
Got it. Kiera, can you imagine?
I definitely can't. But what would you say? Like, what would you want the people to know now that are listening? Like, do you have a message that you want to let people know? Like, I guess for all the podcasters that are out here now, or like future podcasters.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to say for everybody that has their hand in journalism, that believe they can be a part of the system that helps change the system, always stand up for your rights. I don't care what it is. If you believe you're right, you know you're right, you're within your rights, stand up for your rights. Find somebody that can advocate with you, like the NAACP, the ACLU, whoever it is you can reach out to. But stand up for your rights, because the Constitution says we have those. So how can you go against the Constitution?
I got you.
The one thing that's interesting is that you had a public defender, and we get calls all the time, and folk always want to say, I want a real lawyer. I don't want a public defender. And I'm like, a public defender is a real lawyer.
Yeah, I was just going to say that public defenders are real lawyers. It's just about the person. For example, they say that we're not fighting battles of flesh and blood, but we're fighting battles of spiritual spiritual wicked demons and spiritual high places and whatnot. So again, when it comes to an attorney or a prosecuting attorney or a judge or a police officer, you're dealing with the spirit of that person. So if you have a lawyer that has the good spirit of trying to really help somebody, whether he's a public defender or not, you're going to get the help. If you have a person who don't have the good spirit of helping, then he's just there for the money, and that's what you're going to get. So I recommend public defenders. Brendan Cottonsteady is a great attorney. If you're in the public in the system and you need an attorney, if you can get him, get him.
So how your kids now? You mentioned your son's 10 years old.
Yeah,
was 10.
Yeah, he's 10. Everybody good. It's just, I think most of what I'm waiting on now is for me to get some type of justice for myself as well as for Marcus, because that's where it started from. Like the letter you have right there. Can you read that letter out loud to somebody, to the people?
What's this?
This is what started the whole situation as far as what we asked for.
This is a quick rundown of the new lab DNA tissue in the case that Oren was working on. It says that it is my understanding there was a cross-contamination during the DNA testing. So the defendant's DNA was always there the whole time, but in the first testing, there was also a second male profile from that contamination. When they retested, fixing the contamination issue, the defendant's DNA was the only male profile located. Now, wait a minute now.
Now,
you got my attention now.
Mind you, that letter was never brought to court. He found that letter after we did the first podcast. They came into his room, stormed his room, threw all his paperwork over. That's the very last piece of paper he picked up off the floor. So he didn't find it till 12 years later.
12 years later?
12 years later.
But ladies and gentlemen, you got me going now, because you found two profiles and said it was contaminated. And the first thing I would really let them know, who did the other one belong to?
I'm glad you asked that question. So now, for the record, let me pause you for 1 second. So what I found in my investigation was that night, we're going to call her Lilith, because I can't say her name. So we're going to call her Lilith. Look up the word Lilith. So Lilith was with another guy, right? Was her ex-boyfriend, right? Mm-hmm. That's how she ended up in this situation. They went to the Rocket Bar, and she was with her ex-boyfriend, and then her current boyfriend was there, right? The two guys got into a confrontation. It is my theory that she had sexual intercourse with the other guy that night. That is why she has two DNAs in her. The night I have over here as well, the police officer asked her that night, he said, when's the last time you had sex? She said 2 weeks ago, right? How do you have two DNAs in you and you only had sex 2 weeks ago? Is that possible? I'm trying to figure it out. Is that possible?
And this never came up in this trial?
Never. This is why when I posted this right here and said that we had that video, that's when they kicked in my doors. You understand what I'm saying to you now? So it's deeper than just this woman here. It's about the prosecution. It's about this right here. On trial, during the trial, she said she drove or whatever, and she drove till she couldn't drive no more. Can you drive right here? In that picture, can you drive? If she wanted to keep going straight, because she had went straight. But in the trial, she said, I drove until it was a dead end. I tried to put the car in reverse and he slammed it back in park. She also said that she got out. During the trial, she said she got out the car and threw her keys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Marcus said the car wasn't right there. The car was up there. They moved the car. You can see they put the car back. So that's a part of the Brady violations we're talking about. The car was initially up there. They thought it was stolen. They found the car, brought it back when they found out there was supposed to be a rape involved.
So did he have a public defender?
Yes, his public defender sold him out. He never brought this to trial.
And the public
And
defender
that
never
was
brought
the
the
ticket right there.
never brought the trial.
When Marcus said, we didn't park right there, we parked up there with the police standing there. His lawyer said, shh, don't say nothing. We don't want to make the police look bad. He kept telling him not to say nothing, right? Also, the lady said he rubbed mud in her vagina. The medical records show no mud. Everything she said was a lie. I have the proof right here. Also, this right here was another question I put up. I don't know. I'm not a doctor or a nurse, but these look fictitious to me. This is a chain of custody report from the hospital, all given to them by Detective Mike McQuillan, who was one of the 28 police officers that Kim Gardner had on the investigation. These are written by a left-handed person. These are written by one person. I don't know, but I'm sure a custody report should have everybody's signature and everybody sign their own name. I'm not sure, but that's suspect. There's so many things that go along in this case.
So you had the time to pull all of this together. Where was the defendant, was he able to take advantage of any of this? He's still incarcerated?
Yes, he is.
He's still incarcerated.
He's trying for Sunshine Act. They won't give him what he's asking for. He could be out of jail just as easy. Watch this. The 911 call from the hospital that they gonna tell exactly what she had on. The prosecuting attorney in her whole statement was she arrived naked at the hospital, naked from the waist down, through my proceedings, through his proceedings. The 911 call will give a direct, detailed, itemized description of what she had on that night. The video footage from the hospital, this we started asking for, will show what she had on that night. Detective Mike McQuillan took the clothes from the hospital back to the scene, right? She said she took her, I don't know, nothing explicit. She said she took her pants and panties off at the same time. If you take your pants and panties off at the same time over her boots, the pants and panties would be tangled up inside of each other. But they found the pants on the car. They found the panties 100 yards away around the front of the school. They also said they confiscated her clothes from the hospital, right? If they took her clothes from the hospital, how did they get back to the scene, right? She said during the trial that she took there was a scarf that he put on her to blindfold her. She took it off and kicked her boots off and left the scarf and the boots at the scene, and then she ran until she got into Donald Hughes' car. Donald Hughes, where you at? We need you. Got into Donald Hughes' car, half naked from the waist down. How did the scarf get back at the hospital if she left it on the scene?
So it's obvious you did a lot of work, and you convinced me on a shadow of doubt.
Yes, sir.
That he's innocent.
I put $1 billion on it.
So, and based on what they've done to you and how they've sequestered and pushed you and put you through all this, your life to live in hell, trying to at least help exonerate this person. What do you do now? What's next for you?
That's a good question. I'm actually trying to get a lawyer to get someone to help in the process of getting the Sunshine Act request for the video, the 911 call, the prosecutor file.
So you're still investigating?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. That didn't stop you. They thought they were going to deter you. You're still investigating.
It's my First Amendment right.
You're absolutely right. It's your First Amendment. That's what this show is about.
Yeah.
That's. You know what? Now that I think about it, Karen, tomorrow they come kicking in the door.
That's what I'm
Tell them I wasn't in the studio with you. You was in there by yourself.
Exactly.
Man.
But
What's your status now? So where do your charges and things stand? Have they?
At this point, they have dropped the charges, right? They dropped the charges with a deferred agreement. And in my opinion, I believe that deferred agreement is bogus as well, because it was the First Amendment right from the start, right? And then at the end, they tell me, well, you still can't say her name, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. So
wait a minute, you did so in order for the prosecutor to drop the charge, you had to enter into this deferment agreement.
Yes, sir.
And that agreement says what? Can you just?
Yeah, it still limits my speech. as well as they also threatened me like we could drop those charges and bring up some new charges on you. Hold on, I don't think that's it.
And is the status still also saying that you're not allowed to do your podcast?
Well, I can do my podcast, but they made me take a bunch of videos down that had her face on it or some things or whatever. But yeah, they still got their hand in it. That's why I need y'all.
Now, it's the ferment agreement. Basically says,
But ladies and gentlemen,
go ahead. You're gonna take us to break.
we're gonna go to break.
Be right back. And we are back. Yeah, buddy. We are back. We're talking First Amendment. And, you know, the thing I guess that is kind of troubling for me in all of this is that I have social media. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, I'm on TikTok. I look at stuff on IG, Instagram. I get videos on YouTube, and of course, I scour social media as relates to issues that impact people of color. This is why we call ourselves Point Black. And I see and hear all sort of stuff. When you go back and think about the Candace Owens and her stuff, she broadcast about Charlie Kirk wasn't really killed by this, and his wife may have been a part of the plot. And yeah, when you look at that, when you look at what's his name, Rogan. Joe Rogan, and you look at and Hannity, and you look at all sort of stuff, and we haven't even touched bases on the postings that white supremacist groups do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you, ladies and gentlemen, you really want to hear and see some stuff, go pull up some of that Christian right or the far right and white supremacists, and see what they said about black folks and Jews and all, and so for the like of me, it has become very, very interesting that you, with your podcast, find that you think somebody is innocent, and you start talking about the case. As a matter of fact, hell, everybody in January the 6th that got arrested said they was innocent.
So did they reach out to you beforehand, before they kicked the door in, or I mean?
So she's looking at the protection order. She's saying that this shouldn't be, like, however she got this, it shouldn't have been got, basically. So she has some type of people to make it happen for her. But there's something else I wanted to show you guys, right? The different stories that she... I'm sorry.
Hey, and we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We got Oren Ambus in the house. We're talking about the issue of freedom of speech, and I was just saying that it is when you go back and look at the Candace Owens show, and you go on Instagram and Facebook, and don't get me started about the rappers going into, and Charles White. Charles White. I mean, people are broadcasting and saying all sort of stuff. And then when you go to the, as I was saying, you go to the white right, those people who hate black folk and Jews and all of this, and look at some of their postings and what they be saying. I mean, I can't imagine them going through what you're going through. And it's just amazing that all of this has happened. And at the end, and here's where I'm getting at, ladies and gentlemen. And at the end, for all this nonsense to somewhat stop, you have to enter into a deferred prosecution agreement, basically putting you on probation for 5 years. That's basically.
Limiting my freedom of speech.
Yeah, and it says you will obey all federal and state laws. Well, of course you're gonna do that. You want to make contact with the victim? Of course he don't want to have contact with her.
Never did.
But I would not make defamatory or slanderous statements regarding the victim. Well, I mean, if I can make a slanderous and defamatory, if I can make a nasty statement about the president.
Why she so special?
I don't understand. I would not post or allow any video or audio files to be posted online in a form including social media websites, blogs, websites, podcasting, from any accounts belonging to myself, others, or any podcast where the public can access said files, which means that you can talk to yourself, because if long the public can't access it, you can say anything you want. Then it says I won't post any photographs. I will not directly send any videos. I mean, I'm looking at this. Then it says, oh, Courtney, it says, I removed the following from all my social media accounts, but not limited to TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. So they basically saying you can't use social media.
Not when it comes to her.
You can't say anything. I think it's interesting. I think that it's truly, like your lawyer wrote, a First Amendment issue. I think that people have the right to say what they need to say.
I mean, I didn't yell fire in an auditorium or the movie theater.
No, you didn't. You no, it is. But the point about it is, it ruined 2, 3, 4 years of your life.
Absolutely.
And you're trying to rebuild. And this is a drag. You know, we have what they call it, Courtney, ban the box doesn't help in this instance.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Courtney's going. You holding in, Courtney? We're gonna
talk to me.
We're gonna get something out of here, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get the producer in on here.
No, this is interesting because, one, I'm wondering, given the circumstances, why you took the deferred prosecution, it seems, but I understand why you would. So just to hear from you, why did you, if you have 5 years of probation, essentially, and you have to obey all laws? So that means even if you made the minorest of an infraction, if they wanted to, they could bring that back up. So it's, you put yourself under a gun, but I understand why. But why did you do that?
Well, it was actually coercion, if you ask me, under duress, because I wanted to get it over with, and we all know it's my First Amendment right. So I figure this them putting that in paper is them basically telling the world that they are basically stopping me from using my First Amendment right, even with the deferred agreement is written in there. So I wanted to go a step further and see who I can talk to now, lawyers, whoever, to get that taken off of me, as well as have some type of, how can I say, disciplinary actions for those who abuse their power, from the police officer to the judge to the prosecutor. Every last one of them should know the Constitution. Every last one of them should know what the First Amendment right is. And for them to violate my First Amendment right, knowing it, not just my First Amendment, my Fourth Amendment right as well, and my right to a speedy trial, they violated me in so many ways. Only because, let's think about this for a second. Why would they reach so hard? Why is it that they wanted to shut me up? What was I talking about? What was I doing? Right? That's what we got to look at. It's not just the First Amendment right. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely saying they violated my First Amendment right, but I'm asking the question is, why would they violate an obvious violation on top of that? Why would they do that?
But they're almost still continuing to violate your rights, because they essentially have a gag order on you with regard to that person, which makes me ask the question, who is the person?
Exactly.
Not for you to say,
right,
but it seems like they are connected. They are tied to someone, or potentially they don't want the initial injustice to be uncovered that has your friend in prison at this very moment.
Thank you, Most High. I love you so much. So you're absolutely right. From my research on these people, right, I'm going to call her Lilith again. Her dad was a lawyer. Her sister is a lawyer. She was seen taking pictures with President Biden. Her sister-in-law, her brother-in-law is a lawyer. They live in California. Her mother was some type of activist as well, right? And her cousin is a police officer. So somehow, some way, all this ties in. I'm not done yet, but when I'm gonna figure out who the cousin is, and I'm gonna figure out why they doing all this. And I'm pretty sure I know why. It's because of the police corruption, the misconduct between the police department, the prosecuting attorney. It's deeper than us. It's deeper than us.
Definitely. It seems as though, to some extent, there are potentially some bar complaints that could be made.
Absolutely.
It seems that at least prosecutors did things without checking all of the boxes. They didn't review the tape, as you said, right?
Absolutely.
So if they didn't do that, how do you actually, under oath, file a charge with a judicial officer where you're not supposed to lie? You're supposed to communicate factual information.
Absolutely.
So it seems like there are definitely some efforts that you could take. But if at the end of the day they drop the charges, you still endured what you endured, but yet you still have to suffer the consequences, and there are no repercussions for the people that brought that upon you that didn't technically provide you, what do they call that? We're supposed to have a fair and impartial justice system, one.
Right.
But there's also supposed to be due process.
Exactly.
And the steps that you would take for due process don't seem like they were taken.
Yeah, I'm going back to rereading the statement from the senior public defender, and every time I read this, I'm scratching my head. He says that first I learned about a year after these charges were filed. This is a year later. The prosecutor's office didn't have copies of the videos that were the basis for the charges against my client. I was told they didn't have them because the detective who investigated this case never downloaded them. This means these charges were approved and issued by a prosecutor who never even reviewed the videos that were the basis for the alleged harassment.
And what is that?
Now that's
No, so that's a key point to hone in on, right? So
Right.
on one level, we know, at least federally, while the justice system could normally go into court and they would be given the benefit of the doubt, they no longer get that because of the way they've been operating.
Right.
So in this instance, what happened is the benefit of the doubt was given to the police officer. It was taken as fact without actually going through the paces of due process, and it was just taken as, well, if they put the report in or if they filed that, it has to be true, and they move forward, and then you suffer what you suffer because they didn't.
But
potentially.
the other most interesting thing about it, it doesn't say whether the prosecutor ever got the videos.
They didn't. They never. When we went to court, that was one of the last proceedings we had when they asked about the video.
Right.
And at that point, they didn't even say how the video. Even then, they never looked at the video.
So they never looked at the video.
Never looked at it. If they would have looked at the video, they would have saw what I was saying was all court record. I never said anything that wasn't public information, and I never. I was a little colorful at time with my words. However, I never said anything that was illegal.
Well, colorful. Ain't nobody more colorful with their words than the president.
Right.
But that's
Colorful
definitely
with your
true.
words.
So the other part, though, is still, you mentioned Brady violations earlier,
Yes.
and if your lawyer or if you asked for that information, you were supposed to get it. So if
Absolutely.
you had not gotten that says a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. But they never looked at the video that you were charged with doing something wrong.
Right.
Let's be clear. I'm charged with saying something on a video, and the people who are charging me, dragging me into the courtroom, dragging me to jail, making me get a lawyer, have me fight for my freedom, never looked at the video in which I was accused wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to take us to the end. Oren, we was glad to have you, Kara. Glad to have you back, ladies and gentlemen. Watch what you post.
Yep. Justice for Marcus Hughes.
See you next week on Part Black.